Welcome to another episode of Slay with me, Leigh M. Clark. Today I'm here with the beautiful Jordan Torelli coming to us from the Tampa St. Pete Clearwater area, where Jordan is way more than just a photographer. She is a brand architect, we'll say, with a photographic lens. Who provides much more to her clients, brand guidelines, stability, and even what I think is really unique and I haven't seen in the market, and I think it's great is retainer relationships for ongoing content refreshes and just overall brand architecture, support for media articles, things like that. So, such a gift to have you on the phone today because I know everyone's out there with their content and to have somebody who's not just somebody with a vision, but somebody who actually helps engineer these architects and brands. It's amazing to have you here. So, thank you for coming, Jordan.
Yeah, hi, thank you.
Yeah. And the way I met Jordan is she's actually going to be in Slaying St. Petersburg, which comes out on August 25th. So make sure you grab that on Amazon if you're watching this in a replay. But tell me, Jordan, a little bit about the writing process. We haven't gotten a chance to catch up since she's written her chapter. So tell me what it was like for you to go back and kind of recount your life and also tell the viewers, listeners a little bit more about what your backstory is.
Yeah, with this opportunity, I focused a little bit less on, I would say, my life and my life story. And I really wanted to focus on the depth of my work and my mission because I truly believe that it impacts all women. And it was kind of my opportunity and platform to share this message and this mission that I have through my work. So, my chapter is titled Your Visibility is a Victory, and it is a reflection of the work that I do with helping women show up in camera and what that truly actually means. And I looked at it from a bit more of like a historic context of what it means in this moment in time. We haven't always had ownership over our work and our voice and the ability to have businesses and the ability to have the level of independence that we have right now as women. And I don't take that lightly at all. And I bring that level of depth into every time that I bring a woman in front of my camera. So the process for me was really thinking about, if this book was the only existence of my work in the world, what is the message and the mission and the legacy that I would want to leave behind to impact truly like all women? The personal aspect that I did include in my chapter was something that has been touching me lately, as I've gotten older, and that is a relationship to my grandmother. And I have not met my grandmother. She passed before I was born. And I don't have currently, I'm sure my dad somewhere has photos of his mother, right? But I don't know what my grandmother looked like. And she had two sons and a daughter with very severe Down syndrome. And she died when my dad and my uncle were in their 20s, and I just feel like there wasn't much recollection of her as a woman, and there wasn't like stories that could be passed down or really like a reflection of who she was as a woman. And as I got older and I wanted to learn more about the women before me and who I came from, it really like broke my heart that I couldn't have those answers. So I thought about the work that I do with the women that I serve as they show up on camera and as they share their story and as they are putting their life's purpose and their mission and their vision into the world and what that gets to mean not for the women that like they're serving every day but for the women in their life, their daughters, their granddaughters, to always like know what that woman was like, what she dreamed of, what she stood for, what she found funny, what she loved. And that is like became so much of the core depth of my work in helping women preserve their image, their vision, and their voice.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think you and I have that in common in terms of wanting to share stories and being that conduit to storytelling. And I agree with you. I think, saying that we'll live forever eternity is not a thing, but it is when you have the legacy piece. And that's where it's like people started to really change their view on photography and the importance of photography in documenting their life, especially in realistically documenting their life, because there's so much now lack of authority online because of all of the AI things that are coming forth. So I think the fact that you are a digital storyteller, you can capture that media, and it's more than just the photos, right? It's about, like you said, how they're showing up, who they
Mhm.
are, what their soul, what their essence is. So I'll ask you this question during the shoots, because I know you're doing the brand architecture too. During the
Correct.
shoots, how do you pull personality out of people? How do you help them showcase who they are in an image?
I like to like meet them where they are and focus on elevating them. So I can meet you in how over the top excited some people are. I can meet you in how nervous you are and give you that space to like honor, okay, you're nervous, and like we're gonna work through that the way that we work through a lot of other things that we're nervous for. We're gonna like drop back into our body. We're gonna take a few deep breaths for a moment. We're gonna like pause. And then we're gonna kind of do like a pattern interrupter. We're gonna like play your favorite song. I don't care if we stop taking photos for 2 minutes so you can like jam out to whatever, your jam is. And then get back into the shoot. I think it's really about connecting with the women that I do serve and just being able to recognize that energy and hold that empathy and hold that space for them, and reminding them about why they're doing this. And it's not because they have to walk away looking perfect. It's because they have to walk away and they have to go serve the women. They have to go serve their business. They have to go really like serve their dream. So I always, always, always like to bring us like back to the why, find a way that we can have like a positive, empowering, joyful experience, and give space for like what is coming up and the insecurities that are coming up. But oftentimes, like, where we, at the end of the day, we are like playing your favorite playlist, we're getting dressed up and we're smiling. And like women love to do that. So I actually find it becomes so much more easier and natural for women when we create that atmosphere and like when we just kind of remember that that's at the end of the day, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, no, and I love that. And I think it's really important, something you touched on. I choose one photographer for every city now that really exemplifies the area and like what it means to stand out there. And one common theme I think I've heard from great photographers around the US is that there is an element of being a psychologist or a therapist or a life coach on set. How often do you feel like that's the case? Every time, sometimes, most of the time?
It's definitely most of the time. It's I never want to say that like my clients aren't special, but like your insecurities, I don't want to like call out my other clients, but I'm like every single woman who has gotten in front of my camera has expressed a level of insecurity. Half the time it's the same insecurity, it's the same, physical insecurity or something that comes up again and again and again. And so yeah, it's very, very often that is how we end up being and holding space for those insecurities and finding a way to like reframe it and rework it and just get you, feeling comfortable. But it's just about every client ends up at some point having that moment.
Yeah, I think as for people who don't know my backstory, I ran a kindness charity for over a decade before I moved into this series. So I've been like a public figure for a long time. And when you reach a large enough audience, you get haters, you get trolls. It's like just
Mhm.
something that happens. I learned how to switch the narrative there and say, okay, well, if you reach some haters, you reached a lot of people, so that's good. Because it takes a lot of reach before you get somebody to say some crappy thing, right?
Yeah.
But then I was like, okay, let me get really clear on what would hurt my feelings, right? Like
Mhm.
if somebody called me fat for some reason, like I struggled with weight growing up. And sure enough, within a week of me identifying like the insecurities out loud, someone wrote literally fat B word on a
Yeah.
post, a random stranger, which
Right.
obviously the post got far enough. And I thought, well, there it is. Is that going to motivate me to make choices that are aligned with me being in my best physical shape? Or am I also going to make peace with the fact that that's something I struggle with so that no one else's words can hurt me, right? So
Right.
nothing, if you get really clear on what would really hurt you and then you either make peace with it or you work on it, then no one has the power to take
Mhm.
that from you. Have
Mhm.
you dealt with negativity online? Have you dealt with your clients ever dealing with any negativity online, and or before you, even if they've dealt with it in the past? And how do you help like talk to that? I mean, speak to that.
Sure. Well, first I want to say, like, how powerful is it that something like that happened and like your world didn't end, your mission didn't end,
Right?
your voice didn't get shut down or anything like that. Like you
Yeah.
get to have that experience of like, okay, this was my fear. I don't want someone to call me fat. Somebody said that to you, awful
Yeah.
and a loser, like a loser.
Yeah.
And you're still showing up. Like you're still going to show up.
Yeah.
You still have a mission and a vision and a purpose and a dream. And I think that is the reframe that has to happen. I faced a couple, I've had a little bit of random negativity. I work with women, I highlight women all day long, and I talk about things like showing up and being on camera. Like, I think I talk about it in a deep way, but I don't talk about like the deepest things in the world.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I talk about like taking, gorgeous photos for women-owned businesses and founders and things like that. And I did have a comment like, last year that I need to get a life, and I was like, my life is literally just helping women feel comfortable in their skin and like make more money in their business and be more visible in their business. Like it felt like a really good reflection of my life that I was like, cool, keep it rolling. I have like, yeah, I've started to put more like polarizing content out there, and people, if I amplify one thing, I'm shaming another thing, and it's like that's just not reality. But I think it becomes very powerful when you just like detach from that, and it becomes very powerful
Yeah.
when something negative does happen to you, or somebody says something negative about you, and you're like, cool, like cool.
Right. That's me now. I like
Yeah,
could care less.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I don't give it mind. I definitely know my clients, like they're the type of women to get misunderstood all day long. And same type of thing. Like I just think you can't be like, you always, always, always have to look at like the bigger mission, the bigger vision, the bigger why. I think like the only people I like would care about truly are like the actual women that I serve. So I don't like put things out there with like fear that, somebody that I don't care about is not going to understand it or is going to have something negative to say about it. I always, think, is this going to help the next woman I serve feel more seen? And is this going to help the last woman I serve feel more seen? Because a lot of what I'm doing is amplifying the clients that I already work with. And if I am doing a good job with representing my clients and I'm feeling proud of how I represent myself, then just, keep it moving with the mission.
Yeah, and I think the irony is the person saying fat B or the person saying get a life
Yeah.
is the one arbitrarily sitting at home randomly putting people down on the internet, which is like so much projection in that.
Hmm.
But the other thing I think became really important, there's a couple quotes that I love. One you spoke to, which is have a mind that's open to everything, attached to nothing, which is Wayne Dyer. And I love that. I fully believe that we should not be attached to other people's projections or what they put on us. And now I forget the other one, but basically I tried to look, oh, you wouldn't worry so much what others thought of you if you realized how seldom they did. And I believe that's
Hmm.
Eleanor Roosevelt. And it is kind of a crappy quote, guys, but what in that, whenever I would feel like this audience or these things we tell ourselves, oh, the people watching, everyone's worried about themselves. And I like my quest in life is the consistent ego death. So I'll ask myself too if I feel like, being judged or insecure, what will people think? I'm like, how important am I making myself in this moment? People aren't going to think. I'm not, and that's just a humbling moment. It's not meant to
Hmm.
say we're not important, but I think we also sometimes have this perception like everyone's watching while they're all going through the same thing. And you can prove that
Yeah.
because there's so many people who come on set with their own baggage, their own, I hate my arm, I hate
Yeah.
this, that, and the other. How do you deal with, because I'm sure you also film teams. How do you deal with interpersonal dynamics and like trying to like if you have somebody who's really outgoing and the other one's really nervous and you're filming like the company or the team, how do you handle multiple personalities on set?
I think it's beneficial to find the strengths. So, there's nothing to say that we can't amplify, and we deal with multiple, personalities every single time. I am a very like one-on-one type of person. I think I can serve clients so much deeper when, separate them from the team. And like if one person is having an issue, like they might just need that little bit more of attention from me. If one person is feeling like rocking and rolling and like running with, on camera, that's okay. They can like have a little bit more of that time as well too. I can stop, pause, and like, deal with that in a way. I always just we always want people to feel comfortable. We always want to maintain high energy. Or a grounded level of energy can go very far as well too. So you
Right,
have to
that
like
part.
match, yeah, you have to match the scenario that you are in. And we just have to remember the mission and the vision. And if it was like a team scenario, the nice thing about that is when you are like a solo founder or something like that, and it's like your name on the door and your heart and soul and your voice and your name, there's a lot more weight and a lot more depth that comes with that in the way that you're showing up and representing yourself. But when you are like a member of the team, then that's where I would think that, again, we can kind of like detach from the outcome and detach from the representation a little bit more and focus on the team's mission, the team vision.
What is the most memorable shoot you've ever been on?
Um, Sorry, I'm sorry. This is
Yeah, that's a
taking me a
curveball.
second to make sure I represent everything well with this. I think the most memorable shoots have a theme of when you truly can see a transformation happen in real time of somebody who walks in, and the amount of conversations I have that start privately with, how much women don't like themselves. It like and every time I talk about this, people are like, "You're talking about the conversation we just had." And I'm like,
Mhm.
I've had three conversations like this week. Like, I'm like, I know I'm not like calling you out in any sense of way, but the number I get, this is the number one objection or the number one thing that people do bring to me is how much they hate themselves and how much they hate being on camera and how much they are so scared that they're going to see the images and hate them after the fact. And again, when we set the scene that like I truly believe that what I do is a fun day at work and we're playing good music and, wearing outfits that we like and creating for a bigger vision and mission than ourself, then people can feel, a lot more comfortable. And so the memorable shoots are always the one when someone does walk in and they've never had the experience of liking the way that they're photographed before. They've never had that positive experience. And the amount of clients that I get that walk away and say they had, such a confidence booster that ripples into other aspects in their business when they get to see themselves, they have that perception of themselves shift that shows up in other areas of their life. And then they get to like women then see themselves like in the photos or in the back of the camera and they're like, what? Wow. Like I have had women like fall in love with their curves on set that think that that's an issue and then they see them and they're like, wow, I have curves, I'm gorgeous, I'm beautiful. And that confidence, like it's not a one-time thing and it's not something that like, oh my God, I saw that I had that confidence, shift one time when I saw the camera like on set. Like no, that ripples into now I'm feeling more comfortable showing up on social media every day. Now I feel more comfortable going into the sales call that I had planned for the next day because I was able to view myself differently. So the most memorable photo shoots always include that like actual physical, like internal transformation, and the transformation of the self-perception.
I love that. And I think it was Oprah who said she interviewed obviously thousands over the years. And she said, even if it was a president or a dignitary or a famous poet, they all asked the same question after the episode or filming. And the same question was that okay?
Yeah.
And it didn't matter their level of any, so everyone, no matter, like you said, is going through that. Was that enough? Was that okay? Did I do a good job? Give me some examples in your professional life, now that your name's been on the door for some time, of ways, places that you've seen growth in your business that you didn't even need somebody to tell you that was like good enough. You just like knew you were ascending. How have you ascended in business, I guess is the question. And what are the moments you're most proud of?
Um, I think just showing up in your business is a repetition. is like a muscle to practice, like just putting yourself out there on social media, filming videos, posting the videos, speaking about your work. Like I think that becomes a muscle and a repetition to practice. I just spoke on my first panel 2 weeks ago, I think, and
Amazing.
yes, and I have been, I think I used to be more comfortable with public speaking. I had a little, confidence dip when it came to public speaking, and I've been really trying to like practice that muscle as well. And I would say I think internally I had after the panel, I hope that was okay, but I felt like I did a good job and I felt proud of the way that I did that. And I, did not reach out to anybody and say, did I do okay? Was that a good job? Like, did I say something wrong? Is anybody mad at me? Like, there was like mild moments in the back of my mind of like, I hope I did everything right and I hope I represented myself and what I was there to represent well. But I have moved away from that and feel like a lot more comfortable showing up on social media. I used to struggle with it a lot more, even just, in a short amount of time. Feeling more comfortable in that way. Even with some of, the galleries that I used to send out in the earlier stages of my business, I would want more of like, more people to look at it and be like, is this okay? Is this ready to send out? Does this look good? And
Right.
like, but they don't have my eye and they don't have my level of, critique and expertise and perfectionism. So I have definitely, it is empowering to not sit in those thoughts, but I also have like trusted mentors and people that I do work with that will give me feedback, and that's incredibly powerful as well too. So the way
And I
that,
think that's important. The mentor thing is so important because nobody can give you directions to a place they've never been or have no interest in going. And
Mhm.
one of my least favorite things is when an author will submit their chapter and they'll say, well, I just want my mom, my like husband, my cousin, and my sister
Mhm.
to read it again.
Yes.
Because one, it dilutes the words, right? It
Yeah.
dilutes the words. They're forced to give you some kind of feedback. They want you to know that they read it. So they're
Yes.
going to come up with something you need to
Yes.
restructure. And the reality is, it came from the heart. And
Mhm.
so I think that that question, and as we're talking about it, the was that okay
Yeah.
question, it's more than just was that like, can I get feedback too? Because like
Right.
we're like, was it good? Could you say it? Could
Yeah.
you say it so I
Yes.
feel like extra good? Because like that was cool.
Yeah.
Or did that fulfill your expectations? Did I measure
Mhm.
up to what you were hoping for in that moment? Or do you think that landed, right? Do you think
Yeah.
other people got that? So I mean, I understand the need and why so many people, even confident people, compelled to ask that question because we do want to know what the feedback is. And I
Mhm.
think feedback is a gift, man. I think feedback is a gift. Even with you and I were scheduling something and your experience wasn't what I wanted it to be, and I wanted you to know, I identify that. I
Mhm.
want to make sure we can change that. We're not ever above having an imperfect moment or not showing up
Right.
in our business the way we wish we could. It's important to acknowledge that. So, how have you dealt with that? Because obviously, you've been in business a long time, you've worked with a lot of people. You also have one of the most difficult products of all because you're giving them their own self back.
Yes.
So, there's always going to be like, I hate these pictures of me.
Yes.
Oh my God. And it's not your fault. They just hate
Yes.
pictures of themselves. So, how
Yeah.
do you handle gracefully feedback? How do you grow from that? And how has that helped shape you?
I've definitely gotten feedback like that. Like, the pictures are beautiful. I love them. It's got nothing to do with you as a photographer. It's exactly what I asked for. I just hate myself. Like, and that's like, they'll honestly be, I just hate myself. So I can never post it. And, um,
So sad.
I mean, it does. It like breaks my heart. I understand where they're coming from, and I understand, as long as I can like, have a sense of pride in what I did and what I delivered, that I don't take it as like a personal reflection of me and my work. But the most powerful thing that I often will do after that is I say, let's review these together. Like, let's get on a
Yes.
video call, and I will sit on a, 90-minute video call with somebody. Let's review these together and let's remember strategically why they were created, because I
Yeah.
always want you to have that transformation. I always want you to think you're beautiful, but at the end of the day, like I cannot be in your brain. I cannot change
Yeah.
your mind about you for you. I can only, give you a beautiful reflection of yourself. And what I then like to kind of do, because I do work with business owners, is put them back in that strategic seat of like, these were designed to sell something. These were
Mm.
designed to showcase who you are. These were designed to support your messaging and your mission. So that's where I tend to go. Well, let's just not look at them that you needed to, be perfect or something like that. Let's understand that this was an investment in your business and your brand and your marketing. And now let's put them to work. And you can't, like, if you're really, really, want to follow your dream and build the business that you are pursuing, then you cannot let like this, it's the same thing. You cannot let this insecurity hold you back.
Right.
You have to like get over this hurdle and we have to put them out there anyway. And I really, really always like to remind women too, because so many of the women that I work with are working with other women, is that other women deserve to see women that look like them. Like your
Right.
ideal client also doesn't like her arms, and your ideal client
Mhm.
also like has rolls when she sits down. Like, and if they only get to see like polished, perfected, artificial versions or airbrush polished, thin, people living fabulous lives, like how does that make her truly feel like she can relate and like she can see herself becoming a successful person that can show up in their business and show up in their brand? We have to kind of like be the ones that are okay with going first. The other thing is like we look for so many different ways that we can like be relatable to our ideal client and find commonalities and find connections with our ideal client. And then we discredit all of these things about us, like about our physical appearance, that our ideal client also has and deals with. Like your ideal client also had her weight fluctuate after she got pregnant. She also dealt with like postpartum changes or, went on medication that made her weight fluctuate. Or your ideal client also feels like her arms jiggle too much. But if she gets to finally see someone that looks like her, how much more is she going to connect with you when you actually truly show up like as your authentic self? And then that's just going to shorten that connection gap. We don't need to like be like, oh, I'm relatable now because we have the same coffee order. Like, no, you're relatable because you're a real woman who went through real things, who gave birth, who evolved, who and then still decided to show up and follow her dream and build her mission and serve the women that you're there to serve. And I think that goes so far. So I guess reframing, looking at it strategically, and then remembering that like you are the representation. And for some of my clients, they are incredibly rare representation. They are like one of like 5% of people who look like them in their field. They are one of like, 1% of like millionaires before the age of 30 or something like that. And being able to like see other women who look like you doing the things that you want to do, you're instilling so much hope into every other woman that is looking at you and every other woman that then follows after you.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think what's really important here is that you have to give yourself grace, and we should give ourselves, afford ourselves the same amount of grace we afford others. And the less you judge others, the less you'll be judged. You change your frequency, your vibe attracts your tribe. If you sit around with people who talk trash about other people, they will also talk trash about you when you go to the bathroom. And so it's like,
Yeah.
I think for me, it's always the emotional evolution, the higher vibe people, and the people who are out there trying to leave their mark. And I
Yeah.
love your reframe, and I love reminding people who they are, what they stand for, and how they're showing up in this world, and all the positives, like you said, even in dealing with people, like bringing out the positive, which is what you do every day in your work. So tell everyone how to find you online, how do they reach you, and how do they book with you?
Yes, so I am Jordan Torelli on Instagram and Facebook, Torelli. I'm sure it'll be, linked on the show as well. My website is Jordan Torelli Photography. I have a huge portfolio on my website of I've worked with over 75 women-owned businesses and brands, so you can view all of them pretty much on my website. And then my Instagram, I again, just like I'm doing in my chapter of Slaying St. Pete, I really get into the heart of my work and, my mission, vision, what I stand for, and show off my clients there as well.
Awesome. Well, Slaying St. Pete available August 25th on Amazon. Thank you, Jordan, for coming to the show. Hopefully you come back and stay on with me. Bye, guys. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.